Hi, Philip Lamel here, President of U.S. Term Limits, and you're listening to Dream Chasers, Interviews with the Future.
Ladies and gentlemen, how are we doing today? My name is Adam Carswell, and I am joined by Gaurav Bhagat. GB, as he likes to go by, is a sales trainer and coach, and the founder of GBA, which is the licensee for Grant Cardone education in India. He was born in Calcutta, raised in in Delhi, not New Delhi, and now lives in Delhi. We've had a fantastic conversation leading up to this moment. So Gaurav, again, thank you for investing your time with our viewers and listeners today. It's great to have you here. Any opening remarks for our listeners?
Adam, thank you so much, for having me here. And it is an honor and a pleasure. And I know we connected just a few days ago, and I love the speed and the pace with which you move and how you're like, we need to do this. And I'm just so honored to be here. And and it's again an honor and a pleasure. So thank you so much for having me here. Firstly,
thank you, and thank you for recognizing that. I think speed is such a powerful tool when used right. And so guys, Gaurav and I, we met in the Grant Cardone clubhouse not too long ago. We could say, indirectly, Uncle G introduced us to each other. He's like, go follow Gaurav. He's the man in India. And there's actually a lot of cool things about India that we definitely want to talk about here today, but some more context for you. We followed up. I'm a firm believer in this now. If you haven't, got the Clubhouse app yet, or when you get a chance to, because you might be an Android user, I don't know. It's driving insane traffic, in my opinion, to Instagram. And I think that Instagram is definitely going to become a more powerful tool from a business perspective than it probably ever has been before because of Clubhouse. And yeah, I mean, that's where Gaurav and I connected. I saw as soon as we connected, he's doing big things with his show, and he's training and he's moving around the world. And you can see he's got the 10X pin on right there. And also really what captivated me about and wanting to reach out to him was Grant was saying some very interesting things about the future of the Indian economy. And I had heard that before him saying it, but it was just reiterated at the right time. I'm like, yo, we got to go deeper on this, because I think there's a lot of treasure for the future hiding in India that most of us aren't aware of. So any fill in the blank moments for you?
Yeah, 100%. And it was just crazy. And I know I've been introduced to Clubhouse relatively recently. Like, I think I joined in the first week of January, where another fellow licensee sent me an invite, and I said, interesting, let me check it out. And once I got in there, I'm like, oh my God, like, how come, we hadn't heard of this before, or how come, we haven't really got engaged? And it was almost, and they're doing everything so right on Clubhouse, right? So they're making it elitist. It's almost like, where the intelligentsia hangs out. So where the cool, coaches and the knowledge guys, all hang out. So I think they're playing it really well. I think it's crazy when people say, oh, I can't get on Clubhouse because I don't have an Apple phone. I'm like, dude, like, make the investment. Like, stop making the excuses, make the investment. This is where, people are hanging out, and like, oh, we'll wait till it opens up for Android. I'm like, by the time it opens up for Android, it may not be, as accessible. Like the room that you and I were in, right? It was the undercover billionaire room. There was 1,300 people, managed to get our hands up, and, managed to get Grant to call me on. And of course, he did throw me a lot of attention. He said, 1,000 followers for GB. Until he gets those 1,000 followers, I'm not answering the question. I'm like, oh my God, is this real? Like, could this be happening? And of course, that's where we connected, and I followed you and you followed me back. I'm telling people, get on Clubhouse, like, stop making excuses, right? It's important to be in the right rooms. And these are the rooms that you want to be in, because this is where the magic's happening right now. So yeah, Clubhouse, like 100%, right? Like, reach out to Adam and myself, and happy to send you some invites and get you in the right rooms. So yeah.
Yeah. Let's just do a quick plug for that too then. So your Clubhouse handle, can you share it real quick? I might even be able to punch it here in the chat.
So it's actually the same as my Insta handle, and it's Gaurav_GBA. So GAURAV, and there's an underscore and GBA. So it's the same as my Insta handle. And I'd love to connect. I think, like I said, Grant got me like 1,000 in 8 minutes, and that's just crazy, right? Most people don't get to 1,000 in weeks. And he did it in 8 minutes, and I thought that was just so kind of him.
Right.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, it's a powerful platform, from especially in someone in his shoes, where you can give and just make a massive impact just by that moment right there. Like as you mentioned, he got you 1,000 followers in 8 minutes. You said it was Gaurav _GBA.
That is the one. That is the one.
Yep. All right, guys. So
Yeah,
put that in
and you
the.
see the offshoot of that is the interesting conversation that started, the conversation that started with you, the conversation that started with, so many other people, and they reached out and they said, hey, if Grant Cardone trusts you, right, then you have our trust as well. Can we have some conversations? Can we, like do podcasts, and can we do certain things? And people have sent out like business proposals, and I'm like, hey, we'll figure this out. But I appreciate what happened there, and I appreciate you reaching out as well, of course, and having this conversation.
Yeah, and I definitely want to shift gears and talk about the future of the Indian economy. But I have to say this about Clubhouse as well. I have two phones, and it started off where, oh yeah, this is one's a personal phone, the other one's a work phone. And then what ends up happening over time is you just end up using them both. But this is what like blew my mind. I found this out yesterday about Clubhouse. And this is why, some people are like, oh, I wonder who's behind it. Like, did Clubhouse actually start it? Who's the technology? My conspiracy theory is that I really do think somehow Facebook is related to this, because when I first signed up to Clubhouse, because I was skeptical like many people. I signed up with the phone number that I don't use that much, because I'm like, all right, I don't want to get spammed, any of that. And I was on the app for like a month or so. And then my buddy in Belize, Nadir, you've been on the show before. I'll give him a shout out. Nadir Price. He doesn't have like a US phone number, but he has an iPad. I'm like, you got to check this out. Use my other phone number, because I was a believer at this point. I don't care. Right. You can use my other phone number and see if you can get on the app. And he got on the app with my other number. He's like, it sent you a verification code. Can you send it to me? I'm like, yeah, sure. I sent it over to him. And then I found out that he just logged into my account, but I never gave Clubhouse that other phone number.
Right.
And I'm like, hold on. The only way that phone number would be out there is probably from my Instagram. So I'm like, all right, something's going on here. But to me, that was enough writing on the wall. I mean, yeah, I feel like maybe my privacy got invaded a little bit, but it gave me enough confidence to be like, yeah, actually, this technology is definitely here, guys. I know some people think it's a trend or whatever, but buckle up. So,
yeah, 100%.
So
yeah, Clubhouse got you Uncle G. So you got Grant Cardone, in a conversation with him. So I guess that was worth it.
It was, yeah, exactly. I guess if you want to steal my phone number, whatever. And then actually speaking of Uncle G, one more thing. Could you just kind of tell the story about how you guys first got connected? Because I think that was a pretty cool story as well.
Yeah, so it was crazy, right? And we signed up with Grant Cardone for Cardone University, and this is going back maybe a little over 3 years ago. And this is for another business I run. I also run one of Asia's largest, India's largest gifting company, which is now making a lot of noise in Asia as well. And we signed up on Cardone U, and with the 6 licenses that we bought for our team, I also got the chance to come to Vegas and attend GrowthCon 2. And while I was there, I found out that Grant is going to be having a conversation with certain people for licensing. And I said, I have to be in that meeting. And everyone said, it's impossible. It's never going to happen. The meeting's sold out, da, 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 da. And then I reach out to Mike Bonnet, and Mike is one of Grant's, like really, really good sales guys. And I said, Mike, you need to get me in that meeting. And he's like, it's never going to happen, GB, but I'll see what I can do. But, Mike being Mike, is a resourceful guy. So I'm playing poker at the Mandalay Bay, 3 a.m. My phone rings. He's like, 6 a.m. tomorrow. This is the place. You need to be there. And, that's where I got in, and Grant spoke, and, he was very emotional, and he spoke about his legacy and how he wants people to take his legacy around the world, because he said, if I pass, and one day we will all pass, he says, what happens if nobody knows me outside the US, Canada, Mexico? Who's going to take my legacy to the rest of the world? And at that moment, I connected. I wasn't a coach or a trainer at the time, but I connected, and I said, you know what, his content works. His content has done miracles for my business. My other company is a case study on Grant Cardone's website. So when you go to see the case studies in Cardone University, you see my gifting company, which is Consortium Gifts, and we have global contracts, and it was all thanks to Grant Cardone. So that's where it started. That's where we met, and the rest is history. Now, 2 years plus, we've had his license for India, and it's been insane.
Yeah. As you're speaking, I'm like, all right, you know what? I got to pull up the 10x rule and just put that in the chat. We were talking about that before the call as well. Definitely a must read. I would say, just if you're in, I know this sounds kind of general or vague, but if you're in business, maybe even beyond that, like if you're working, you should definitely check out this book. I mean, so many epiphanies in it. It's one of those books where you just got to read it, once per year. And,
100%. And always go back to and read it again. You hit the nail on the head. You always go back and you read it, because every time you go back to it, you're like, damn, because you're in a different space in your life, it just, a different thing will resonate, and you'd be like, okay, I need to do this. And even Undercover Billionaire, right? So that's another thing that everyone's got to watch now, because he's walking the talk. Like he may have written it 10 years ago in the book, but now he's walking the talk, and that's so good to see.
Yeah, yeah, and I know he's really pushing that out there right now. So let's go ahead and give him an ad as well. Undercover Billionaire on the Discovery Plus app, right?
That is correct.
Free to
And
download, guys.
available in India, available around the world now. So yeah, people should go ahead and pick it up, and like get the app and watch the show, because it's what you need today. And remember what he said, or he told me this on my podcast a couple of days ago. He said, you can be broke, okay, but you shouldn't be broken. And that was like, damn, so yeah, that's powerful. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, now let's dig into the mind of GB, and really start with what you know about the future of the Indian economy. You live there, you've seen the changes, probably, especially I'd say over the past, 30 years, almost anywhere around the world has gone through a lot of changes. I want to give a quick shout out to my friend MC Laubscher, who hosts the Cashflow Ninja podcast. Go to cashflowninja.com, guys, and check that show out. Very powerful show. And he had someone on his show within the past year, and I was telling you this before the call. I can't remember who it was, but basically it was, in my opinion, someone who came across as very knowledgeable. And they're like, I'm telling you what, the dark horse economy in the entire world right now, the one that everyone's sleeping on, no one's paying attention to, they got, over 1 billion population, right? Something crazy like that, is India, especially the Indian middle class. There is, and I think what we've heard is over the next 50 years, massive expectations as far as growth. So kind of tell us where that information is coming from and the validity of it.
So 100%. And I think, it's come back to a time, and if we go back to history and we go back to the past, right, there was a time where India and China, they ruled trade, and I'm talking about like several thousand years ago, when you would hear about the trade route and the spice route, and how a lot of Indian businesses would actually go ahead and be very, very influential. And of course, then whatever happened, there was the entire imperial rule that came, and India kind of got beaten down, and then maybe we got our independence in 47. Post that, we didn't really have access to some of the stuff that we should have had, and the economy was slow in opening up. But I think what is happening now is that the economy is completely on fire. Sure, COVID was a setback. Everyone's like, India's economy went down 29% during COVID. Yes, it did, but we're bouncing back. Our businesses are open. People are back at work. There's action and there's activity. The amount of money that India is drawing in now in terms of investment. I mean, today everyone's talking about the stock markets, and there's this entire, Wall Street versus Main Street. The amount of money that India has pulled in the last 7 months now, FII money, which is foreign institutional investor money, is insane. And people would say, hey, you know what? This is quick money. This is going to come in and this is going to go out. This is the hedge funds. Hey, these are committed people who are not only betting on the stock market, but they're committing on businesses. Apple is moving manufacturing from China to India. We have a very, very proactive government. We have a very, very strong prime minister, and he believes in moving forward, irrespective of whatever's happening. So the India story is absolutely on fire, and you hit the nail on the head where you talk about a lot of interest coming in, and it is my belief. It is my belief that now this is truly it's the start of the Indian decade, if not the Asian century. I think China and India have a big, big role to play, and it's possible that Europe might take a step back, and it's possible that it's India and China that's going to play a big role as we move forward. And you're right, it's the dark horse. Everyone looks at China, everyone looks at Thailand, everyone looks at the ASEAN countries, and they say, oh, India is like slow, and India doesn't have what it takes. But there is a hungry bunch of people. I coach a lot of kids. I coach a lot of people who are coming out of college. I coach a lot of startup companies. These people are hungry. These people are hungry, and these people want to go out and just make it big.
That's interesting. I did not know that about the manufacturing, and you got to read between the lines. I was just looking at this I don't know what you call it, a chart or a graph the other day with a friend of mine. I have to pull it up as soon as you said that. Let me make sure. Can you see the largest companies in the world? Yep. Is that what's showing up? Yeah. So, I mean, you just said Apple is moving their manufacturing to India. So some might say the third largest company in the world, behind Microsoft and then the Saudi Arabian oil company. So that's some major writing on the wall if Apple manufacturing is moving to India. And yeah, I think especially, we were talking about Clubhouse earlier with Apple. I do think that is giving more people a reason to get on that, even on that, their phones, I guess you could say as well. So
Yeah,
Hey,
and in your list you had a lot of other companies in your list, and a lot of them have really large presence in India. Like Amazon came in and they acquired a company called okay, what did Amazon? No, so Amazon just came in and they just basically came in and they put in so much money. Like I think what Bezos did is he pumped in 7 billion, okay, US into Amazon India, and then Walmart found that they
said
were
7
missing out.
billion with a 7 billion with a B.
Uh-huh. 7 billion
Okay,
with a B.
just
And
make
then
that.
Walmart figured that, hey, you know what, we're losing out. So they actually came in, and then that's the acquisition. They bought out Flipkart. Flipkart was, India's homegrown e-com retailer.
Oh
And they
wow.
went and put down a couple of billion for Flipkart. And now Flipkart and Amazon are like, head to head everywhere. And there's big money coming in. There's big money coming in. Like Facebook has huge data centers. Microsoft's on your list as well. And Microsoft is, of course, got crazy facilities. Microsoft is a client of mine in both companies, so we do a lot of work with Microsoft. Your number one company over there was Saudi Aramco, right? And that's the number one company in the world in terms of market cap, and they're based out of Saudi Arabia. And they're having a conversation with India's largest company, which is Reliance, and they have committed, I think, if I'm not mistaken, 34 billion US. I think that's the commitment.
Wow.
It hasn't come in yet, but Saudi Aramco is looking at 34 billion in Reliance, and that's taken Reliance's market cap to becoming one of, well, Asia's biggest companies.
So what is I'm curious to know what, or at least what you think is the main reason why these companies are starting to invest major dollars into India. Like, is there, obviously the population is compelling. I'm sure maybe there's some resources that I'm not aware of, or I know it's a beautiful country as well. So what's the draw?
Yeah, and that's a great question. And it's always been, so people has always been a big draw, but that hasn't changed, right? We've always been a billion or a billion plus, right, in terms of our population. And I think where it's actually changed is because now there is clarity in thought in terms of direction of the administration, right? In terms of the policies, they're trying to make it easier. They're trying to make it easier for people to like do business, come into the country. I know it's a work in progress. It's been a slow journey, but I think definitely ease of business is one. I think policies have been changing towards hiring and firing, because I think that was a big bottleneck for the longest time, and I think that's changed a lot in time. They're trying to make it easier in terms of even forex, coming in and out, and so capital controls has become easier as well. So I just think there's a lot of policy. It's baby steps, but we're getting there. And it's not only now the middle class. Like everyone talks about the middle class and how there is this big middle class, and we're going to be going out there and doing more than ever before. Yes, and they have aspirations. They have aspirations for growth. They have aspirations to live a better life, and they want the best from around the world, and hence they want the brands, they want the cars. Tesla is coming to India, so Tesla registered in India last week. Right, so they registered.
I'm coming to India, man. I don't.
You must, right? Like I said, we need to do Goa, and we need to do some of the happening hit places in Delhi. So Tesla registered last week, and they're already talking to 6 different states, and people are excited. Everyone's like, how the hell can I get one of those cars? So there's money, and there's a whole bunch of good stuff happening. So I just think we're making the right noises globally. I think we have our PR in place, so the right, even in the global press and public relations space, I think we're doing the right things, and we're attracting the right attention. So India's often attracted attention for the wrong reasons. I think now we're finally getting attention for the right reasons. So that's one big reason as well.
Nice. All right. Well, last question here, because I do want to just zone in on this one more time. Clearly, as we've discussed, there's a lot of opportunity, and the opportunity that we're talking about sounds like, big dollars, high barrier to entry potentially. Where is the opportunity for, say, even someone in the middle class, either in the US or India? Like where's the opportunity for someone who doesn't have $1 billion to throw down towards India? Where are you seeing that?
Again, a fantastic question. And let's go back to like how our conversation started, right? It started on a social platform, and we said, hey, we're going to do this, talk together, and let's just see where it goes from there. So I think what people on both sides need to do, so people who are in India, who are looking to reach out abroad, and people who are international in Canada, the States, anywhere in the world, Europe, are looking to reach out. I think everyone should try and identify people who have similar interests, people that they can have conversations with. I always think that, and Grant would always say this as well, that it's the 80-20 rule. It's 80% people, 20% product, or 20% service. Always focus on the relationships first. Always focus on first, starting a conversation.
I don't know if you read this one yet. This is Who, Not How. There you go.
Right, right, yeah. So I've heard a lot about Dan Sullivan. I think I need to start reading. I'll start with that one as well. So it's about relationships, about starting that conversation, and who knows where it's going to go. And there aren't people who are looking for $1 billion bets. I mean, some of my biggest contracts in the States started with maybe doing like 100 t-shirts for Facebook, right? And that's how it started. And today that's gone into, you can add, a few zeros at the end of it, because it's a relationship that's really grown, but it takes time. And I think people are very willing to, of course, welcome people into the country and then travel, to other countries, have conversations, and who knows, the sky is the limit, right? But you just need to go out there and take some action.
Yeah, that's it. Very interesting. So really the summary is you can start small. Start by taking small actions, whether it's on, as you mentioned, on Clubhouse, maybe visiting India and just going on a little vacation, or familiarizing yourself with someone like GB. Love it. And then I guess now really the last one here is, I just want to know, what is like the Austin, Texas of India right now? What's the city where everyone's like, oh man, keep an eye, or you could say that even the state, because Texas is booming. Right. Austin, right. You were in Miami too, which is also pretty compelling, but what's the Austin, Texas of India?
So I think currently it's the national capital region. So it's actually 3 cities that form, so it's New Delhi, and it's Noida and it's Gurgaon. So it's like 3 cities which are kind of, clubbed into the national capital region. They have great infrastructure. They have, a lot of space. So it's very, very roomy. And I haven't been to Austin, Texas. I have been to Dallas, Texas though. But yeah, I see where you're coming from. So this is an area which is very hot. Microsoft has a big campus coming here. Amazon has a big campus coming here. There's a lot of big guys coming here. Tesla may not come here though, but I think Tesla is looking at, also access to the sea routes and, the ports. So this is up north. It's landlocked, but there's a lot of opportunity. It's growing fast, and we've got the infrastructure and the people in place to make it happen.
I love it. Well, GB, I know I asked you this in advance, so I hope you got an answer ready. If you had to give a shout out to one person that you've never given a shout out to before, who would that one person be?
Believe it or not, but I just realized it's my wife. I mean, she's right now expecting me for dinner somewhere. It's about 10:15 p.m. in India at the moment. She's already at this place for dinner, and she's patiently waiting. So my shout out would be to my wife, Mrinalini, who's always been out there and supporting me 100% and more, right? So she's my superpower. I truly believe that. So my shout out would be to Mrinalini.
I love that. Love that. Thank you for letting GB hang out with us. We appreciate it. All right. And then, last piece here too. What's the single, if you had to give out one single best way for anyone to follow up and get in touch with you, what would that one way be?
I think Instagram would be great. And again, like Clubhouse, it's Gaurav_GBA. And I have a growing following there. So that would be a good place. The email IDs and everything else is longer. So Instagram, Gaurav_GBA. So GAURAV _GBA. So that would be good.
Gaurav, well, thank you so much for investing your most valuable resource with us here today, your time. Any parting words for our viewers today?
Adam, first of all, thank you for having me here, and I appreciate that. And of course, I think my parting advice would be is that don't get beaten down, and don't suffer from, what is POA, right? So the paralysis of analysis. Just go ahead and do it. And just be an action taker, always be in motion. Even the small wins are great. Don't get bogged down by the noise and negativity. Like, close out your ears and stay positive and stay in action. So I think that would be some advice that I'd like to give everyone who's listening in today.
Love it. Nailed it. All right, guys. Well, thank you for tuning in to Dream Chasers Interviews with the Future. We will catch you in the next episode. Remember, in all you think, say, and do, take it to the next level.
Love that. Thank you.